So you thought that since the Buffalo Bills picked up a wide receiver in the 4th round, that they were done drafting that position. Well, you better guess again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Believers Talk. My name is Joe, and welcome to another NFL player breakdown. The 2020 NFL draft is now in the books. I still have 2 more of these breakdowns to do for the Buffalo Bills. I will be breaking down every single Buffalo Bills pick, giving my initial reaction the day of doing these videos. And then, of course, as time goes on, we'll read more about these players. We'll do a little more work, watch a little more tape, and I'll let you know exactly what I think about all these players and give you a grade for the Buffalo Bills 2020 NFL Draft. Before I do that, however, guys, I want to remind everyone, if you haven't already subscribed to Believers Talk, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. It really helps out the channel, and I really do appreciate it. After you hit that subscribe button, you want to hit the notification bell. YouTube will notify you when we post new content, so you can head on over and catch all the latest and greatest Buffalo Bills news. Also, while you're here, hit that thumbs up button. Let me know that you like this content and leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the Buffalo Bills 6th round draft pick, their second 6th round draft pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. The Buffalo Bills select Isaiah Hodgins, wide receiver out of Oregon State. I cannot begin to tell you guys how excited I am about this pick. You're talking about a wide receiver who has that size. Going into this draft, if you've been watching this channel, you know how much I've talked about wide receivers needing size on this Buffalo Bills team. That's the one thing they were lacking. We have the guys that can get separation with Stefon Diggs, with Cole Beasley. We have 2 guys who can really take the top off a defense with Diggs and Brown. So we have those guys. We have a big, tough tight end in Dawson Knox. We just needed a guy who can add some red zone threat, right? Add that red zone threat, get some length in there. I know that we have Duke Williams on our roster, but let's be honest, Duke Williams only played in 4 games last year. That last game against the Jets really not meaning all that much to the Buffalo Bills. And they did play in the game against the Houston Texans. Some good in that game from Duke Williams, some bad in that game from Duke Williams. So glad to see the Buffalo Bills choose to go a little bit higher up in size for these wide receivers. Coach McDermott, again, back last season, called his wide receivers a bunch of Smurfs. Can't do that this year if these guys stay on the active roster. You're talking about Isaiah Hodgins, again, the size 6'4", 210 pounds. He has 9 7/8 inch hands. That's pretty impressive. You know that he's going to catch a lot of balls with those big hands. 33 1/8 inch arms, so that means he can go up and get the ball. He has the length, and we'll talk more about his vertical jump and some other combine numbers in a little bit. Before we do that, let's talk about where he came from. Isaiah Hodgins went to high school at Berean Christian, which is in Walnut Creek, California. After he went there, he chose to play college ball at Oregon State. Oregon State University decided to be a Beaver, and that's where he started in 2017. In 2017, his freshman season, he started in 3 games, played in 11 games, and he had 31 receptions for 275 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not the greatest numbers, but when you're a freshman, you're really just getting your feet out from under you, and you really want to just get a taste of what the collegiate level is like. And he proved that he used his knowledge, he used his experience to better himself and to make himself better the following season, because his sophomore season, he played in 11 games, 59 catches for 876 yards, a 14.8 yards per catch number, and 5 touchdowns. So he did more than tripled his yards numbers and got that 14.8 yards per catch, more than doubled his TD production, got up to 5. But that's nothing compared to what he did his senior season, his junior season, I should say, because he only played 3 seasons at Oregon State. Junior year, he played in 12 games, had 86 catches for 1,171 yards. That's 13.6 yards per catch, and he went off with 13 touchdowns, finding the end zone 13 times. Pretty impressive. I believe that was actually second in the Pac-12 as far as receiving touchdowns last season. He did so well that in 2019, he earned himself second-team all-conference honors in the Pac-12. So pretty impressive stuff out of Isaiah Hodgins. Happy that we get him, especially this late. Obviously, we talk about the depth of the wide receivers in the 2020 NFL draft class. I believe Isaiah Hodgins was the 40th or 41st wide receiver taken this year in the NFL draft. And this is one of those guys that some had mocked going in the 4th round. Some had mocked going early 5th round, and here we are, the Buffalo Bills again getting great value, picking them up here in the 6th round with their 207th overall pick. For his career, Isaiah Hodgins played in 34 games, 176 receptions, 2,322 yards, 13.2 yards per catch, and 20 touchdowns. He knew, especially that last season, how to find himself in the end zone, how to score some points for his team, and that's the name of the game, right? Getting yourself in the end zone to score some points. So we're going to talk about his combine numbers. We're going to talk about some of the pros from this guy. But again, guys, I cannot tell you how excited I am to bring in a 6'4" wide receiver to hopefully open things up a little bit more for Josh Allen. Josh Allen may be able to find a taller receiver when he's running around in the backfield trying to find someone open. Maybe this is the type of guy that Josh Allen needs to really up his game a little bit. No excuses for Josh Allen this year, of course. When you talk about having Diggs, when you talk about having Brown, when you talk about having Beasley, really no excuses. We picked up Zach Moss. We have Devin Singletary. Our offense should be dynamic. And I just hope that this guy, Isaiah Hodgins, can have something to do with that, whether that be helping the team out on the practice squad or showing up on the 53-man roster and showing out on game day and proving why he was second team all-conference in 2019 in the Pac-12. So we take a look at his combine numbers, and I'll compare some of those numbers to the average NFL wide receiver at the combine, and some of them match up very well. You look at the 40 time, however, one of the knocks on Isaiah Hodgins is his speed. He isn't as fast as your average NFL wide receiver. At the NFL Combine, your average NFL wide receiver since 2000 has ran at 4.4940. Unfortunately for Isaiah Hodgins, he's just not that fast. Again, the way he's built, 6'4", 210 pounds, his body just doesn't move that quickly, and he ran a little bit slower of 4.61. But if you can get open, that's all that matters. If you can make contested catches, which we'll talk about here in a second with his pros from this guy, that's all that matters. We have the guys on the Buffalo Bills that can create that separation, right? You're talking about you're talking about Stephon Diggs. You're talking about Cole Beasley. You have the guys that could take the top off a defense. You're talking about Diggs again, and of course, you're talking about John Brown, two guys that can really take the top off a defense. We just need a guy who in the red zone can make some contested catches. We need a guy who's not afraid to make some tough catches in traffic. I'm not saying that the guys we currently have are afraid to do that, but you're talking about a guy who, if Josh Allen just throws it higher than how high the cornerbacks can reach, you know that Isaiah Hodgins has a chance to come down with that ball. In fact, as we talk about his pros, we'll get into that a little bit more. He had a 36.5 vertical jump at the NFL Combine, which is about 0.7 or 0.8 tenths of an inch higher than 8 inches higher than the 0.8 inches higher than the average NFL vertical jump. Talking about 35.8 inch vertical jump is the average. He did a 36.5 inch vertical jump. Had a 124-inch broad jump, which is higher than the average as well. A 4.12 20-yard shuttle time, which is also a little bit below average. But hey, again, you're talking about that speed, giving up a little bit of the speed to get the length, to get his vertical jump, and to be able to catch balls in traffic. I'm going to take that every single day of the week. So we go into the pros for this guy, some of the good things that the scouts and that we look forward to seeing in Buffalo. And it all starts, of course, as I said before, with his size. I'm a guy who's 6'4", automatically becoming the tallest wide receiver on the Buffalo Bills roster. Him and Josh Allen might be able to find a few connections that Josh Allen couldn't find with some of those other receivers just due to that height. You talk about a guy that knows how to go up and jump up for the ball and get it at its highest point. That's what Isaiah Hodgins knows how to do. Not only do you talk about that 6'4" height, you're also talking about that 36.5 vertical jump. 36.5-inch vertical jump, and you know that he can out jump a lot of the cornerbacks in this league, and he can make those contested catches as long as Josh Allen can throw the ball up high enough where he doesn't have to try to come back down and fight with a cornerback. But if he does, we also have to look at this guy's competitiveness as a huge plus for the Buffalo Bills. This is the type of guy that's not afraid to go over the middle. Listen, if you're an NFL fan, you've all heard the saying alligator arms, right? We've seen it before. We've seen it a lot, actually. A wide receiver goes over the middle of the field. He knows that he's going to take a hit if he catches the ball, and he decides to alligator arms the ball, right? He doesn't go the whole way, extend his arms, and try to bring the ball in due to the fear of getting hit. You do not have to worry about that with Isaiah Hodgins Hodgins. I keep mispronouncing his name. But he's not afraid to go over the middle. He's not afraid to take a little contact. If you watch his film, he actually seems to enjoy a little contact, has great competitiveness, knows what he needs to do to get the job done, has sure hands. If you watch his film, you'll notice that he does not drop the ball too often. That's just something that he did not do much of in his collegiate career. And we've talked about drops so many times as Bills fans, right? Even last season, you talk about the drops of Dawson Knox. He had about 6 or 7 drops that really would help Josh Allen out with his completion percentage and just in the game in general. We hope that Dawson Knox obviously cleans some of those up, but we have a guy here in Isaiah Hodgins that really does not drop the ball too often, and that's really good to hear. That's really good to see, especially when you're talking about a guy, again, who can go up and get it at its highest point. You want a sure hands wide receiver, and that's what we have here in Isaiah Hodgins. So those are some of the pluses from the newest wide receiver of the Buffalo Bills. One thing that went kind of unnoticed, that wasn't talked about as much as I would have liked for it to be talked about, is his ties to the NFL. I think with these later picks, and we saw a few years back when we picked up Proehl as a wide receiver in the 7th round, taken after his father, who played for the St. Louis Rams back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Well, this is the same type of situation here. Isaiah Hodgins, actually, his father played for the Rams in the late 90s, early 2000s, during the years of the greatest show on turf. In fact, played with Austin Proehl, not Austin Proehl, his dad, but Proehl, back when he played for the St. Louis Rams, now, of course, the Los Angeles Rams. So those two actually played on the same team. We get both their sons in 2 drafts, one in 2018, one in 2020, and we hope that this guy pans out a little bit better than Proehl did for us. Remember, Proehl was cut from the 90-man roster, but his father played fullback in the NFL for 8 seasons, including 4 years with the St. Louis Rams, again, now the LA Rams, from 1999 to 2002. And if those years ring a bell, that's because, again, those were the years of the greatest show on turf, the great St. Louis Rams team. You're talking about Kurt Warner, Isaac Bruce, Marshall Faulk, Torrey Holt, just to name a few, and they just had a great connection, winning Super Bowl 34. That's the year that the Rams went on to beat the Titans by, I'll say, 1.5 yards. If you remember the Titans that season, their first win in the playoffs is something that Bills fans don't want to talk about at all. In fact, some Bills fans would argue that if Doug Flutie would play that game, not only would we beat the Tennessee Titans, we would have been in their spot against the Rams in the NFL Super Bowl 34. But hey, that's all water over the bridge or under the dam. We've all forgotten about it from now, I'm sure. But the Buffalo Bills, with the 207th pick in the 6th round, select wide receiver Isaiah Hodgins, again, out of Oregon State, 6'4" wide receiver. You have to be excited about that. Again, a taller wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills, a taller wide receiver for Josh Allen. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think this was a good pickup for the Buffalo Bills? Again, I think it was great value. It fills a need for the time being. We know that 6th round draft picks normally don't make the team, right? They don't make that 53-man roster, but we have to give them a shot. Remember what Foster did. Robert Foster 2 years ago was an undrafted free agent, and he ended up making the team. Still there. Unfortunately, we didn't see as much production out of him last season. We'll see what happens this year. Maybe this guy, Isaiah Hodgins, will take his spot on the 53-man roster. Again, let me know what you think in the comment section, guys. We have one more video to do. That's the Buffalo Bills 7th round draft pick. We've kept you up to date all day on the Buffalo Bills draft picks, so thank you if you join me for every single video. I enjoy doing these. So again, if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, guys, hit that subscribe button and then hit that notification bell. Like this video and go ahead and leave a comment. Tell me what you think about Isaiah Hodgins, wide receiver out of Oregon State, the Bills' most recent draft pick, picked in the 6th round, pick number 207. So the Buffalo Bills now picked up 2 wide receivers in the 2020 NFL draft. Would love to see them make a mark this upcoming season. But again, guys, thank you for joining me on this edition of Believers Talk. I look forward to talking to you all soon. Until I do, go Bills.